First, I want to start off by saying I want you to want and have anything you want. So the purpose of this episode, the purpose of this conversation that me and you are about to have, the the purpose of me sharing all of this with you is not to create any guilt, any shame. I don't want you to question your motives. That's not what I want. All I want is for you to understand why you really want what you want. Because listen, you can have anything you want in this world. All right, let's get clear. You can have anything you want. This world is an amazing the universe, life is an amazing just experience and adventure of creation. And if you look, 95% of people on the face of the planet are living in total survival mode. And even it has nothing to do with your basic needs. The basic needs are oxygen, water, nutrition, some, a climate controlled area where, you're not going to scorch to death and become, a piece of beef jerky and a place where you're not going to freeze to death. You need some shelter. Our basic needs are very, very minimal on this planet, and everything you need like comes to you. So the oxygen you require is all around you and it's free. The food you need grows out of the ground. The water you need falls out of the sky. And we get a little shelter. We can have a little shelter. We can create a little shelter. So and sometimes if you go back to our ancestors, they didn't even need money to create shelter. They just found a way to create some shelter. So the point being is our basic needs are very minimal. They're not a lot. And we make this whole thing, this whole experience, this whole adventure a lot harder than it needs to be, more complex than it needs to be. But most people are living in survival mode and they put themselves into survival mode. All their basic needs, if you look in the United States, if you look in most of the first world countries, and if listen, this podcast, Lead, Love, Profit, Play, just reached its 48th country, came online. Pakistan just came online. So we've reached 48 countries and almost 800 cities around the world. So we're touching lives and we're touching people on a daily basis all around the world. So I'm not only speaking to people in the United States and with wealth and with success and with first world lifestyles. I'm speaking to people all around the globe, and some people are truly in survival mode, and some people put themselves into unnecessary survival mode. But I got to assume that if you're listening to this podcast, then you have a device that's capable of listening to this podcast, that you're doing okay for yourself. Your basic needs are met and more. And that's why you're able to listen. So I'm going to talk as if that is true for all of us. Okay. We make this thing a lot more difficult than it needs to be. We put ourselves into survival mode and we stretch ourselves and we stretch our finances, we stretch our time, we stretch our stress, we stress to always be going to the next level. And that's okay. I want to make sure we understand and clear. Like, creating new stuff in this world it's the experience and the adventure that we're here to experience. It's beautiful. The act of creation, it creates vitality. It creates a sense of purpose. It creates, it creates joy, and it creates confidence, and gives us the ability to experience higher levels of courage. And we get to make stuff where stuff doesn't exist. And this is how bridges are built, and this is how buildings are built, and this is how technology comes online, innovation. It goes from a thought, a concept, to complete manifestation, to complete creation. And it takes somebody creating these things that we see in our lives. So I don't want to lose sight of that. Creation wanting the next level, like continuing to grow and evolve, these things are all healthy aspects of life. But the one thing that I've found, the one thing that I've seen, and I just had a powerful phone call today with not a client, but someone who follows me, and they were interacting with me. So I jumped on the phone with them. And I don't start serving when someone joins my program. I start serving as soon as I can serve, because this is my service to the world. This is my contribution to the world. So they reached out, they messaged me. I would invite you to do the same. Reach out, they messaged me, and we had a great conversation. And you know what? What I realized on this call, and what he realized on this call, is he has fallen absolutely into a comparison trap. This guy is building a business. And the only reason he is building a business is because he is working with people who have actively convinced him that he should, I'm air quoting for any of you watching or listening on audio. I want you to know that I'm air quoting right now. And for people watching this video, you should build a business that looks like this. And he keeps doing what people are telling him to do instead of checking in on himself and saying, what do I really want? He keeps signing up for courses, and he keeps signing up for programs, and he keeps signing up for new things and new teachers, and he keeps following new influencers. And sometimes they tell him, most of the time, they tell him the same thing. You should be. And then he does it because that's what he thinks is right. And as we were talking and as we were discussing, and I'm peeling back the layers, like, why do you want that? Why do you want that? Why do you want that? Why are you doing this? Why do you want that? Just literally not questioning, not challenging what he wanted, not creating resistance in what he wanted, not trying to get in the way of what he wants, but just seeking to understand. You see, my clients come and they'll ask me, my students, I'll ask them, what do you want? What do you want in your life? What are you looking for? What are you looking to achieve? What are you looking to accomplish? What are you looking to attain? What are you looking to create? And they'll tell me what they want. And I simply ask this question: why do you want that? And until I'll help anybody create anything in their life from a place of fun and excitement and enjoyment and adventure and creation for the art and the sake of creation itself. But if we can't get past, I just need to keep everything together. And if we can't get past, well, I want to prove myself. And if we can't get past, I want to prove myself to everybody else. Or maybe if I create this, I'll become somebody and I'll feel like I matter. If we can't get past these, I'm gonna hit the brakes a little bit on the conversation to make sure that we can completely align. And if I get a sense that they're trying to resolve an internal conflict through an external circumstance, then what I want in that situation, first and foremost, is to help them resolve that internal conflict that has them needing that thing or wanting that thing as a solution to a problem that's in their mind or in their body, that's in their programming, that's in their conditioning. Because think about it. Human beings are creatures of conditioning. When you were a child, you would believe anything that anybody taught you. That people that you loved, they told you that the Easter Bunny was real and Santa Claus was real. They told you that the Tooth Fairy was real. If you grew up like me, they told you that God was an angry, jealous, vengeful, rageful God. And you believe anything that anybody tells you, and you'll do anything that anybody tells you to do. And you'll try to become anything that anybody tells you you should become because you love and appreciate people so much, and you're trying to please them, and you're trying to gain approval of people that you love. And a lot of times it comes at our very own expense. And sometimes, even though we do this as children, we don't stop doing this throughout the course of our life. And this is why an adult, a full-assed adult human being, signs up for a course where somebody says, you should do XYZ, and the person says, whoa, okay, without really checking in with themselves. Is this really what I want? See, you are one of 8 billion people on this planet. You are a complete, unique individual. You are one of one. And inside of you is a blueprint for what you really want in your life. What you really want in your life. And there are people right now in this world adding layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of complexity and stress and struggle and resistance and confusion and just utter chaos to their life in the hopes that at some point in the future, they'll have simplicity. And they're giving up simplicity now for simplicity later because they've never truly did the work to check in. What do you really want? And they want simplicity, and they sign up for a course. They listen to a guru. They follow the guidance of someone who wants complexity, really wants complexity, and really wants to stay busy, and really wants to stay completely overwhelmed all the time because maybe they're in a place of fear and insecurity and inadequacy and insignificance. And they really want simplicity, and then they show up with this guy, this gal, and the guy and the gal, instead of saying, what do you want? They say, you should want this. And then the person says, well, okay. So now you've got a person who wants simplicity on a journey of creating complexity to eventually try to find the simplicity that they want. You can call simplicity freedom. We give up freedom for 30 years trying to create freedom so we can have freedom in 30 years from now. We do a whole bunch of stuff, decades and decades, or years and years, to try to get somewhere where we can be right now. But we're giving up the thing that we want. We're giving up in lieu of, like, we could have it right now, but we're giving up the thing that we want to get that thing in a long time from now. And we do things that we don't want to do. We go places we don't want to go. And we work with people we don't want to work with. And we say yes when we mean no, and no when we mean yes, all because we're following the comparison trap, and all because we're following the conditioning of the average human being, that this is what good looks like. Maybe for you, but maybe not for me. See, I work with people that have 10, 20, 40 million dollars in cash flowing real estate. I've worked with people with 8 and close to 9 figures of net wealth. And some of those people only did that because that's what they thought they were supposed to do. And some of them are doing that and are building that because they're having a blast doing it. And there's a tremendous energy difference between those two situations. One of them is doing it because that's what they're supposed to do, because they feel inadequate to make that decision on their own. Or they're just following the comparison trap or listening to the guidance and advice of someone who wants that, who has now conditioned and controlled that person, convinced that person to want what they want, instead of try to really find out what they want. what the student wants. My wife and I were in a weekend seminar. This is about 6 years ago, where we were talking about what does the life of your dreams look like? Like pretend, like suspend all disbelief and let's get clear for a weekend. Let's spend time figuring out what the life of your dreams looks like. And there was a guy there, and I'll remember it clear as day. And part of his dream was to own an RV. And the teacher, the instructor said, that sounds awesome. RVs are fantastic. Like you can go where you want to go, and you can like see things, and you can always be, that's awesome. What is that? The RV that you want, how much is that going to cost you? And the guy was like, probably around $100,000. Say, man, it sounds like that's one of those extravagant RVs where, you know, it's got all the whistles and bells, and it raises up and lowers down, and, you know, to make your getting on the RV easier, and it, you know, the cabin extends and opens up so that you have more width and you have more living space. And is this true? He's like, yeah, I want all the whistles and bells. And he asked him a question. So how often are you going to use this RV? And the guy said, well, you know, 2 weeks a year vacation. And the instructor said, so you're going to spend $100,000 to own this RV so that you can use it 2 weeks a year, instead of creating like a monthly payment for yourself and making that payment, you know, 50 weeks of the year that you don't use it. Instead of setting yourself up for years and years and years of a rent payment or a mortgage payment, instead of plunking down $100,000 in cash, instead of owning this thing and having it sit outside your house for most of the year completely unused, why don't you just go rent it for 2 years and have the same exact experience? Do you want the experience, or do you want to own it? Because really, if you take a look at it, owning it doesn't make you more of yourself. It doesn't increase your significance. It doesn't increase your value in this world. It doesn't increase anything except, you know, if you're really inadequate and insecure and you feel insignificant, you want people to look at you, and I'm chest thumping. You want people to look at you as successful because of your RV. And that's a sign of inadequacy, that you think you are what you own. You think your possessions are a reflection of you. And you're putting your value and your worth in your possessions and not inside yourself and who you really are. And it took a little bit for the instructor to engage with this guy and say, I didn't hear a plan where you said you were going to rent it out for 50 weeks a year. I didn't hear a plan where you were going to monetize it for 50 weeks a year. I heard a plan where you were going to own it. It was going to sit outside of your house unused 50 weeks. And then you were going to use it 2 weeks, but you were going to be on a hook for a long time for 2 weeks a year of pleasure and enjoyment. And you could have the same exact amount of enjoyment for a whole lot less. And then if you really look at it, you'll have to labor and effort less to make the money required to have that thing, so that you can, instead of buying it, you can rent it. It takes a whole lot less money, and you've just simplified your life, but you get the same exact experience. The only experience you don't have is that you don't have a title in your name, which, if you need the title, then that's an internal conflict that means that you feel less than, and you think you're going to feel more by owning this thing. Resolve the internal conflict instead of just trying to fill up an empty cup. If you feel half of your value, if you feel that you're not truly valuable, that you're not truly worthy, that you're not truly successful, that you're not truly freaking significant in this world, That's an internal conflict. And a title for an RV is not going to move the needle on that internal conflict. Go resolve that first. And then when you can travel 52 weeks a year because you feel secure and adequate and significant, and you're impacting the world and you're contributing in a powerful way, and money is raining from the fucking heavens because you're so damn impactful in this world, and you can travel 52 weeks a year, then let's go get that RV. But until you're going to travel more than you're not, why don't we look at a different way to have that same experience? You are not what you own. You are not what you create. You are not what you achieve. You are not what you accomplish. You are not what you accumulate in this world. These are just experiences that you have and ways that you interact and ways that you engage with the world. You are not these things. You are the soul within this human mind, this human body. You are the spirit within. You are spirit having a human experience, not a human having a spiritual experience. You are spirit having, you are the ghost in the machine. You are the spirit having this human experience. And at the end of your life, when you take that last exhale, this mind might stop, this body might perish, but that spirit, it goes on forever. You don't have a life, you are life. And what you own, what you possess, what you accomplish, accumulate, achieve, any trophies, awards, badges, you leave them all behind. They're not your identity. They're not you. So if you're not doing them from like a point of having fun and experiencing more of life and just having a new, unique adventure, if it's because somebody else wants it and somebody else tells you it's right and it's what you should do, if you're living somebody else's dream, reconsider, peel it back. Let's get back to what do you want? And then once you realize what you want, and it's not coming from a place of insecurity, inadequacy, and insignificance. Once it's coming from a place of inspiration, that you're inspired to go and do it, be it, have it. And it's not filling a void, filling a gap. Until you get to that place, let's pause a little bit and just try to figure out what we're doing. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to be broke and think $1 million is going to cure your feelings, your fears of being broke. And then when you get the $1 million and those fears are still there, because they will be, when you go from 0 to 1 million and nothing inside of you has changed, then you're just going to need 2 and the chase continues. So instead, let's go resolve those feelings of being broke. Let's resolve them. Then let's create the $1 million so that you can enjoy it instead of living with the same internal conflict, money fear, money pain, like money misery inside of you that's making you think that the $1 million is going to solve that. Because the thing you want will not solve the problem that you have. If you're listening to this podcast, the problem that you have is that you think you have a problem. Find out what you really want. Close your eyes, sit still, dream for you. Go inside your chest cavity and find out what you really want. And stop worrying about what anybody else wants for you. If you're in a relationship, if you are in relationship with another human being, and another human being, I don't care if it's your spouse, I don't care if it's your friends, I don't care if it's a guru, I don't care if it's a coach, I don't care if it's whoever. But if they spend time trying to convince you to want something, you're not in relationship with that person. You're in manipulationship with that person. My wife is the one who coined that phrase. manipulationship, or that word manipulationship. Are you in relationship or are you in manipulationship? And if somebody's convincing you to want something, if someone's trying to get you to live by their shoulds, their rules, their agenda, their idea of what good looks like, especially if they're capitalizing on it, then you're not in relation to them. You're in manipulation to them. Peel back the layers, hit pause, go back, go inside your chest cavity, go inside your mind, your body, your spirit, your divine essence, and say, what do I really want? And start there.